pleasure to be here with you today in such a diverse community of stakeholders. My name's Claire Cockerton. I'm CEO of a company called Entiq, and we set up technology accelerators, we design innovation programs, and we build new technologies and ventures in the smart city space. So I'm here to talk to you about connected cities, how we get smart city infrastructure and technology projects off the ground, and the role of the different stakeholders involved in a connected city. Trouble is with this topic is that you can get very esoteric, you can get very philosophical in defining smart cities. And if you just forgive me for a moment, I'm going to set the context within which we operate and how we are seeing the smart city project evolve as we deal with new challenges in creating a smart, competitive city. So obviously with the trend of mass urbanization, resource optimization is one of the most important endeavors a city can embark on. Ensuring that resources are deployed efficiently, effectively, and we're getting the most returns on our investment is important, not just to cities, but also to the companies and corporations that operate there. We're seeing a great trend in the devolution of authority from national governments to mayors to the cities. And this is changing the competitive dynamics of cities. So cities are now forced to develop their own unique selling proposition, to develop their own local assets that they bring to bear in the economy. So we're also seeing cities participate on a global scale. You need to, as a city, as a mayor, be able to articulate the reason why a large corporate would set up shop there. You need to articulate, unlock the entrepreneurial sector. You need to leverage the academic assets that you might have in a city. And so the competitive dynamics of cities are changing on a global scale, and more cities are competing for resources and to attract the best in technology and innovation, not just nations. As a city, also, you need to be a sort of neutral host for a variety of different stakeholders, and we're going to talk about the stakeholders and actors involved in smart city projects. Obviously, the energy price fluctuations will determine the priority we place on having environmental impacts and ensuring that we're delivering the triple bottom line as businesses and as mayors. And we're struggling with legacy infrastructure, whereby we're trying to install the infrastructure to support the digital economy. So these are some of the challenges that we are facing as cities, but also as property developers. Because if you think about a property, a building, it almost operates like a little mini city, especially if you're the size of Canary Wharf, which is where our company operates. So there are lots of different actors involved in bringing these smart city projects alive. The mayors, of course, we've talked about, the important role of the citizen in giving feedback to the municipalities, large corporates who want to invest in certain cities, leveraging the strategic business opportunities of being there, cultivating a talented group of entrepreneurs. And this is really the work of Entiq, is we really focus on the entrepreneurial sector because we feel that these actors are one of the most powerful forces to provide solutions to smart city projects. We're also observing some really powerful technology trends that I wanted to talk about, and trends that we are working with at Canary Wharf. There's a great new engine called the sharing economy, whereby through technologies, citizens can lend money to each other, can lend out portions of their assets, like their homes, via Airbnb, where we're sharing different modes of transport. And this shift in commerce is a really important trend to leverage in our projects. One of the key trends, which is a fintech innovation, is the innovation of crowdfunding. So now we can get projects off the ground by using the crowd, by using a whole portfolio of investors to back larger scale technology and smart city infrastructure projects. One of our companies that participated in our program, PaveGen, who develops technology to generate electricity, managed to secure just under $1 million worth of investment to launch their business. So they're not only dependent on government funding or the VC community, but we're now leveraging the crowd and peer-to-peer exchange mechanisms to get this smart city technology off the ground. The other major trend which we're seeing is the development of new data analytics platforms. And clearly, projects like the Open Data Institute are so critical in empowering the technology sector. Providing entrepreneurs access to big data sets and city data is really important. Clearly, you are the experts in this field, and you've been talking a lot about that this morning. But it's an important part of what we're trying to foster in our work at Canary Wharf. When we talk about the role of the property developer, this is really what I want to show you the example of in the case studies that we are doing at Canary Wharf. The role of the property developer is significant in that we are the space providers of the technology ecosystem and the innovation ecosystem, and can really provide the platform for collaboration as well as engagement of the key actors in this space. At Canary Wharf, we were buyers of this new technology, and we showcased the cost savings, the business benefits of actually procuring smart city technologies before the municipalities were doing so. The role of the property developer, especially if you're the size of Canary Wharf, is one of convening, of bringing a number of players together and being a test bed for some of these innovations. And we can also be a role model to city developers, to planners, to mayors. So Entiq is a company that was established 2.5 years ago, and we're known for these projects. We created Level 39. We helped design and develop and launch this technology accelerator in Canary Wharf. And that was a project that was in an effort to diversify the tenancy base in Canary Wharf. After the financial crisis, all of a sudden the buildings were much less occupied. And we realized we needed a much more diversified strategy of hosting different tenants and different players in the development. So we built a technology accelerator which invites young entrepreneurs, SMEs, investors, large corporates together to collaborate to foster greater entrepreneurship and greater innovation. Through the projects at Level 39, we've managed to be the test bed for certain innovations, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about our program, Cognicity. We also established Innovate Finance, which is a new trade body for fintech, and this body was responsible for driving forward certain policy and regulatory change in this new sector we've defined as smart city tech. And I'm sure you've talked about some of the other smart city tech initiatives off the ground at the moment, new industry bodies that are able to embrace and help accelerate the new business models that we're seeing emerge in the Internet of Things technology, in ICT, and in smart city technology. The Cognicity program is a very large smart city accelerator program, which we launched back in January. It was designed as an effort to help Canary Wharf procure new technologies that they were going to embed in the very infrastructure that they provide. has showcased us examples of interoperability and collaboration so important to actually launching these new technologies. A couple of my colleagues, as Martin mentioned, are here in the audience, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about some of these technologies that we've managed to launch and pilot in the Wharf, and then we'll be here to answer your questions afterwards. To give you to talk a little bit more in detail about what the Cognicity program set out to do, this is the Canary Wharf Group development as it is, and we're planning on building another 30 acres here. This is the new Wood Wharf development. And for Canary Wharf, we wanted to actually curate the community that would inhabit those spaces, the commercial tenants, as well as creating the best spaces possible with the technologies that are integrated into the very fabric of the building. And because we operate like a little mini city, we have our own transport, our own data, our own security systems, we were able to launch a program that opened up these different data sources and allowed us to test out the concept of interoperability. The program was run over 6 months, and it started in January this year, and we had 6 different streams: integrated transport, sustainable buildings, automated building management, integrated resource management, connected homes, and virtual design and construction. Each one of those themes had a challenge. We set an important challenge for the entrepreneurial sector, and we said we were looking for innovations that we could test out and deploy, and that you might partner with other companies in refining. And we drew in companies for in each one of these streams. We had 6 companies in each stream. And the result of this program was 14 piloting opportunities. So this was really powerful for the entrepreneurs. We didn't promise investment into their businesses. We promised the opportunity to test it out, to pilot it. And that's a really powerful incentive to attract entrepreneurs and innovators. It's one of the things that city developers and mayors and municipalities can be doing. So there were 36 innovators who were involved in the program. They were put through an extensive program of mentorship, and we set up a global advisory council. Some of you are in the room today. And we helped the technology companies integrate with their buyers. And we observed moments of great partnership between the companies. Each one of the companies also articulated the benefit of their innovation, the cost savings, the carbon reduction, and the tenant engagement they were able to provide to Canary Wharf. Canary Wharf Group was positioned, again, as a smart city leader. It was initially back in 1979 when it first started to develop Canary Wharf, but it was losing a bit of its edge. So the Cognicity program helped them adopt a whole bunch of new technologies and a whole bunch of new ways of procuring from the younger, smaller companies that enabled them to integrate the latest in technology. So this program allowed us to really demonstrate this concept of interoperability. Some of the companies we worked with only demonstrated one part of a more holistic proposition. And we noticed some of our companies collaborating. One example is with a company called BlockDocs, which is a software platform and a mobile application which enhances building management with real-time and predictive data. And it helps predict occupancy levels and service requirements. And they partnered with a company called Puckily, and Puckily builds the hardware that connects smart connected devices in the home. And so essentially we had more of a hardware provider and a software provider coming together, sharing their data, and building a more holistic solution for Canary Wharf. This was an innovative way of structuring an accelerator program or an innovation program. You had the buyer, which was the Canary Wharf Group. You had an innovator. You had other partners for that innovator. You had a hardware and a software solution provider. And our company, Entiq, provided a lot of the curriculum to get those companies to work together better. My colleagues, Gaia and Jack, are here to answer questions and also provide other examples of interoperability and some of the smart technology projects we got off the ground. Guy, do you want to give an example of the other logistics?
Sure. Hello. Hi. Wow. So we have one other example that we often use as a fact sheet project. Wow, okay, with a microphone as well. Hello. One of them is called Voyage Control. They created a platform to help freight deliveries, not just in routine ways, and that's more common as an app to find outside, but actually what they manage is the delivery on the loading bay, at the loading bay. So they're able to minimize the amount of trucks that are in the streets waiting to come in, and also help the loading bay staff and all of the suppliers to have a better understanding of when are peak times. And this seems a very simple idea, and it seems like it doesn't really have a huge effect, but when you actually put it into a cost-saving when you just put it into cost savings, it saves a lot of money. I'm not going to give you figures. The other company is 8.3 LED. They created a new hardware for connected lighting without the need of putting a lot of other. Oh wow, I'm nervous. I'm going to say that for a second. Okay. I'm sorry. You put me on the spot. Anyway, let's leave the details to when you catch me afterwards. The fact was, Voyage Control and 8.3 LED started to work together at the Cognicity Challenge. And they've realized that if they share the data that each of the company was collecting, what they could come up together was to identify when peak time for trucks delivery were, put it together with all of the information and the running of the lighting at the loading bay, and realize that the cost savings for energy efficiency technologies were massive. Because rather than keeping all of the lights on at the loading bay 24/7, they could redirect each truck to where it needed to be by simply interoperate with their colleagues that they met at the Cognicity Challenge. And after this, I'm going to let you continue the conversation.
We've got a big list of some of the technology companies that we've worked with, the 36 companies. We'd love to share them with you. They're fantastic innovations and that can be easily deployed. But what I want to leave you with before we go to questions is the different models of learning how to test innovations in smart cities and different ways of facilitating collaboration between a property developer, an investor, an innovator, and those that are needed to support that community and that collaboration. So we were asked to leave the audience with a good idea or a call to action. And I suppose if you're a property developer, one of the greatest powers that you bring is the ability to procure these new technologies. You also have the ability to host and to bring together the various different stakeholders that are required to make this come to life. And so procure, invest, build, and innovate is our final message. Thanks very much for having us, and we'd be delighted to talk more about the details of our program. Thanks.
As I mentioned, Claire's got to go to another meeting, so now's your opportunity to ask her directly any questions, but her colleagues will be around for the Q&A session we've got. So any questions that spring to mind, I'm sure, hopefully post-lunch you will have some questions. If not, I can always fire some for you if you want me to. So how transferable is what you've done in Canary Wharf to other parts of the country? Do you think that the principles you've learned there work in London, or can they work elsewhere as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the key is to leverage the local assets. If that's a university program, if that's a data center, if it's the Open Data Institute, a similar type of institute such as that. And I think it's really about designing challenges that inspire innovators to come and to test out and to try. Our program methodology is an accelerated one, and it seeks to define the challenge, to bring the buyer to bear, to bring an investor in, to critique and to help refine the innovation, and provide a curriculum that enables the entrepreneur to, I suppose, refine their solution for the end buyer. But it's absolutely replicable. It's just about defining the local challenge.
Yeah. So you mentioned about Canary Wharf and Wood Wharf. What are the things you're doing differently from Canary Wharf to Wood Wharf in terms of driving that next phase of development?
Yeah, so the building information management systems are undergoing a huge overhaul. Now we can leverage real-time data. We can modify the way that we manage our resources in managing the building. And so we're innovating in terms of the design software that we're using and also the way in which we stay connected to our tenants. We were looking at a number of what are they called, Gaia? So the waste management, but also local waste processing. Yep. So there were quite a few innovations in terms of waste processing, and then a lot around logistics and transport as well.
Okay, questions? Come on, guys. Fantastic, yeah. Helen, come on.
I just have a question spurred on by Anthony Townsend's book called Smart Cities.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with it? Okay, thanks. And he, is this on? Yes, okay. He sort of questions whether creating all of these locally specific solutions over and over again around the world is a good use of money, especially when you get government money going into it, because every city and country wants to be seen to pushing the apps and generating their own sort of Silicon Valley and stuff. So have you seen a lot of the same types of solutions through the networks that you're involved in, or are they all sufficiently so different and special that you aren't sort of reinventing the wheel over and over, if you see what I mean?
There's definite reinvention, and then the war of very small difference and small iterations. It's a common problem, and it would be fantastic if we had, an international network of smart city technology projects where you could compare notes, what's good practice, what are some of the excellent innovations in the space. And I think that was the ambition of the Future Cities Catapult as well, is to connect various different city projects, share the data, share best practice, and to back the winner, the winning technology provider. So yes, we're seeing that. We're seeing that problem in replicability and sort of very small difference, small iterations. However, where it's not backed by government funding, the entrepreneurial community will chase that slight improvement, that incremental improvement in the way in which we manage certain resources or the way in which we experience our city as citizens. And so the private sector, the entrepreneurs, independently will chase those opportunities. But I suppose when you're talking about government funding, a much more coordinated effort would be useful.
So have you seen any ideas come forward which are really big step ideas where you go, wow, somebody hasn't gone incremental, someone's just gone leap?
Yeah, well, there are a couple companies that are embedding photovoltaic cells into the very fabric of the buildings. PaveGen is a company that is generating electricity from the kinetic energy of footfall, which is kind of cool. They had a pilot project on a Brazilian football pitch, and now it's being embraced by Google Sidewalk Labs. But those are a couple really interesting innovations that we like to explore.
Any more questions from the floor? You've got a chance if you are holding back to... Oh, yes, okay.
Hi. All of these innovations sound fantastic in terms of post-construction efficiency of how a building works. But when you mention something like a smart city, is there any innovation in terms of space design, in terms of how a building is designed, how public spaces are design, because that's sort of a city aspect rather than building management?
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can take that question. The last two streams were actually dedicated to how do we create the future buildings, but how do we create them now? So one of the winners that is worth mentioning of the last stream of the Cognicity Challenge, which was around designing the buildings, is 3D Repo. They've created a software that works in the cloud and that is able to help engineers, designers, architects, you mention it, rather than going on site with loads of different drawings and papers, and then every time you make a change, you have to go back to the office. They have managed to not only digitalize the drawings, which a lot of other software companies have tried to do, but to connect it with the cloud and use it as an immediate change, which means, and I have tested it. They are now going ahead with the pilot in what is formerly known as the Woodwharf. You have your phone, you take a photo, the photo gets uploaded to the actual design and drawings, and every time you make a comment, a note, every other person that is using the software will see that note and is logged. So if somebody just goes in there and puts, I don't know, like a fun jumping something, you will realize. But it's very useful. So that's definitely part of how we're thinking of helping the construction of new cities.